specifics.
What are you doing here?
Yeah, I'm just nervous about it.
You know, we could do something like put in, language that such architectural features may include, the following, and then just list some of them. Suggest, not necessarily written in stone, but, for example, architectural details. That way, that's suggestions.
Yeah, it's a start, it's better than what we had. I'm not high, not here, but, so we come down. It starts to.
It does.
Building.
And administration, yeah.
That's where it starts.
That's where they're probably losing it most often. Is when they get,
In our city.
yeah, and they have it here as well, like eventually when it starts coming,
If we did have that.
then we did have,
Huh?
the chances are that.
Cell phone.
we got one lot
Cell phone.
that's gonna be one to get redeveloped. And they don't have a model, they don't have a lot of design alternatives, so they might wanna go a little bit more, basic. They're not gonna invest as much in it, and that's why you end up with something that's just four walls and a roof.
But it really it starts down in the city. And I, if we have that.
And you can always put language in there too, if the applicant, I guess you can say applicant, if the applicant or if the administration determines that further clarifications necessary, it could be referred to planning.
Yeah, I can put something in there.
So that way they can try and hash it out, and if they can't come to an agreement, then it gets referred to planning commission. And then usually that's when, it's also kind of a little bit of a stick, because a lot of people are like, I don't have to wait for a meeting, but fine, I agree with what you're doing. But also, you know, use the planning commission and say, well, that house got built, why didn't you guys do it this way?
I'm hoping that we have something in place for 10 years if I'm not around, and you can see the reason why to have something like that.
Mhm.
I mean, I think you can, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. No, it is, it's important.
You wanna preserve not preserve, you wanna create certain pockets of the city for different.
You wanna make sure that as development comes in, that it's still at the same, at a minimum, at the same level.
Yeah. You also want to preserve certain, yeah, that's a good way of putting it, yeah. I mean, one of my things is, they look down, yeah, there's gonna be a couple of lots that.
He brought
will
dinner.
stop and people-
Oh.
Goldfish.
Right. they're-
The best.
they're like, hey, that one right there got it. So we gotta probably get this going faster.
Yeah, sooner rather than later. Because this next construction season, we might start seeing some. I would suggest it.
You know, haven't done.
Yeah, by next meeting.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Van said it was for the rain.
That's true.
What's that?
You told me last week you were gonna rubber stamp it, whatever we decided.
Oh, okay. Works for me.
There you go.
You just hand us your stamp now. Yeah.
No, this is the first one I've done too.
There you go.
You all right?
See you.
Good, there you go.
Good.
I'm Karen.
Oh, Karen, my name is Linda, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
That's Kyler.
What was it?
Kyler.
Tyler?
Kyler was it.
That's a different name.
How you doing?
My grandson is Kyle, so first I thought you were going there.
Oh, I run into a lot of Kyles, a lot of Tylers.
Would your parents could make up their mind?
Nope. Got stuck between the two.
Well, that's okay.
The compromise.
Yeah, it worked. It's different.
Whatever.
Are you usually the only two here?
This is my first one
I've
as
never
well.
seen him here before.
Okay, so we're two rookies here, huh?
I've attended every city meeting for the last year.
I've seen
couple
you in
months.
city council.
Yeah, I forget, I think I could change it on my calendar, I look at
Been
here.
a lot happening. I've been
Cause
coming
next,
for
it
4
would be,
years, city council,
Okay,
so there's been a lot.
New chairs.
yeah.
yeah.
So I was like, wow, I felt a little stiff. But that was pretty nice.
Got higher backs.
It's gonna be March 3rd.
March 3rd is when it is?
Yeah.
March 3rd.
Are we even gonna have a quorum tonight?
We'll see.
Chelsea said only one called in.
We can fill in.
There you go.
Okay, okay. Hello. Yeah, we get colder. Okay, for a while.
No, it is February.
Everybody okay? Oh, that's all right.
I'm just getting the names. First time I've been here, so I just want to know who's talking. Is all.
Is this starting to be recorded or?
It is.
No.
It's actually streamed.
And who's doing that?
Myself.
Is that part of the city or is it just cause you
Just-
wanna go?
Something you wanna do?
Yep. I just volunteer my own time to stream it for people. I do it for all the city meetings as well. Done it for the last year plus, and just for all the people that can't be here tonight or that physically cannot be here. I've just volunteered my time for, like I said, the last year, and I was just available tonight, and I knew there was another meeting, so I decided to come up.
He didn't make the meeting last night, guys. Bob's wife is sick. He wasn't there last night either, so. What about Dennis? What about Dennis Witt? Work's not fine here, but what about the city manager? She, he's the alternate that. Is this Carl there? Let me see.
Dennis? I think he's here. I think I heard him talking in his office.
Yeah, John's here earlier.
I don't think
Dennis
I'll
is
just
there.
see if Dennis is over there. Tell me when I need him.
May not be able to have it tonight. Means I can go to the grocery store and get coffee cake. Not that I wouldn't mind having your goldfish.
justice for all. Roll call.
Bogat,
Yeah.
O'Rourke, Osnick,
Here.
Palmer, Witt, Wolfson,
Here.
Heck,
Thanks, Here. Any agenda changes for this evening?
None.
All right, and I need the approval of the meeting minutes from January 14th, 2020.
I'll make a motion.
Support? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, any communications?
None.
Okay. Any audience participation this evening?
Just ask that you use your microphone so I can hear you.
All right. Doesn't look like there's any audience participation. All right, so we have a discussion around the fence ordinance, and we are gonna put that up for review this evening. My understanding is that there was a case that came in front of us, a couple months ago now, and we're trying to look at the overall ordinance, for the city of Walled Lake in comparison to the surrounding cities. And I think Mario, you have some additional information on that, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
All right, so if you wanna give us a rundown and how it compares to the other cities, that'd be helpful. Thank you.
Basically, this issue came, as Attorney Venerian has summarized in the memo, the fact that at the ZBA, there have been some instances in which people, are required to go receive a variance because they'd like to have a uniform 6-foot height, fence, for their property to secure their rear yards. And that usually includes the side yards, and that usually means that our ordinance doesn't allow it. Our ordinance requires the fence to step down to 4.5 feet in the side yards. Most other communities do have a uniform fence to allow for the securing of mainly access to that side yard if someone has a side door. So that's why and because it allows for the property owner to have to better function and utilize their property. It's secure, and mainly also for their pets and animals. They can make sure that they can let them out and not have to worry about them getting out. So it is pretty common to have that kind of allowance for side yards.
Okay, and then what would we need this evening in order for us to do we need a motion to examine that first, an open discussion, then a request to rewrite?
Yeah, this came to the planning commission. It was referred to the planning city council. As the planners indicated, that was the issue regarding the lack of uniformity between the fence height and the rear and the side yard was sort of the impetus that brought it forward. But city council referred the entire fence ordinance basically to the planning commission to look at that issue and basically the entire fence ordinance in its entirety, areas of the ordinance that could be improved upon as well and brought up to date. I know one of the issues that one of the council members brought up was under the current fence ordinance, there can be no decorative fence in a lakefront yard if there is no principal structure on the lakefront yard. Some of the people have their house on one side of the street, and they have a lakefront access parcel on the other side of the street. And people who have their house on the lakefront parcel are allowed to have decorative fences, whereas the people who have their house on the other side of the street and just have the clear lot can't have decorative fences. So that issue came up for the planning commission to take a look at as well. So it's pretty much a top to bottom review of the entire fence ordinance. There may be other improvements that could be made upon it, at the planning consultant's recommendation. And I think the next step would be for the planning consultant to either make some proposed text amendments or maybe bring back a memo or something the next meeting, if there are other areas that the planning commission take a look at.
Okay, I appreciate that. And then one area that has been brought to my attention that being requested was to examine the ordinance in terms of, since we're doing the fence and the lake lot fences, is to look at the comparison to Novi in terms of, I don't know if that would be called an outbuilding, you know, where they have like, I don't know if they're quasi, like, storage buildings, or, you know, some of them have like entertainment buildings down on their lake lots, is to match like the Novi side. You know, a lot of the people around the lake have been asking a lot of questions, and especially when the fence conversation came up, can that be looked at as well?
Well, the planning commission is free to make any recommendations that it wants to the city council regarding any amendments to the zoning ordinance. That's essentially how the process works. Planning commission does its study and then finalizes its process with a recommendation to city council, and then it goes to city council, and then city council makes the final call as to whether or not to adopt the planning commission recommendation in whole or in part, or even do something completely different. So
Okay, so that could be looked at the same time, and then, like you said, that.
yeah, I think you could probably include that in your recommendation if you thought it was appropriate.
And that's to match, you know, similar to 3/4 the other side of the lake allows that in the decorative fencing, and where if done correctly, it can make drastic improvements to properties along, obviously, the tax base as well. Is there anything else that we want to look at? Fence? No?
Well, you're basically saying, kind of coordinate our fence ordinance with a couple of the surrounding communities.
Correct. Yeah, then
Lake area.
yeah,
Yeah.
because if you go on the Novi side, there's some, you know, some nice entertainment facilities around, and the lake lots, like on the Walled Lake side.
See what they put in theirs, and then kind of get ours to coordinate with that.
Absolutely.
And then what we do, bring that back to us. So I'll make that motion.
I'll second it. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
So moved. All right, any comments or anything before we adjourn?
Maybe we could have,
Oh.
that ordinance, invaluable, what some of the fences could look at, that we could,
Don't bring that all back to us.
No.
Don't bring that to us.
right,
Okay.
Include some diagrams and
Yeah.
some pictures, so that way it's a little bit more
exactly.
easy to interpret our thereas and wherefores and that sort of thing.
Make it easier for, when if we do put the ordinance in, the public would be able to understand what that means.
Yep, sounds like a good idea.
All right. We do have a comment before we close, yes?
The decisions you make on the height of the walls, any change to the variance, if we have a variance meeting on the 24th? Or
No, because right now, the ordinance in effect is still in effect for yours. It won't change until, if any potential changes are made to that ordinance, it'll be recommended by planning commission, and then it'll be considered and potentially adopted by council. And once council adopts it, after a certain number of days, it becomes effective. So right now, you would have to still deal with the ordinance that's on the books.
all right, good, thank you.
All right, anything else?
Motion to adjourn. I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, that's it.
That week. Oh, I have no idea. So what's this, because we're working, or what's the difference? Because I wouldn't come.
Just all fancy.
I thought they were just.
Good. good? Just busy.
I did. We got,
Man, you're always gonna be so It's kinda like when you're in college. Always something, studies, tests.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's like, what are you trying to say? This side of that? Yeah, especially when someone comes in to just apply for it. See this, make it look like this, makes us look easy.
That makes sense what I said about that.
Yeah, no, totally, yeah. Do they, well, actually, that's one thing. It's a short street, we basically like, I mean, a little ancestry structure, they just drive around the lake, yeah.
You know who really runs a fast meeting? It's Mr.
Right now, the tax base on the lake.
He bang, bang, bang.
Who's that? Oh, Wolfson. I thought you said Wilson.
No.
You're not recording this now, are you?
I am.
It's a felony.
It's not.
Yes, it is. You're not part of the conversation. It's not a public meeting. You post it, I'll have you charged.
Is it a public meeting?
You, this is not a public meeting. The meeting closed. You cannot record people's conversations. It's a
It says
felony.
notice of public meeting.
Meeting is closed.
Yeah, and I'm
You're
leaving.
committing a felony if you're recording me right now.
And I'm leaving.
I'm just telling you. I got
That
no
we're
beef.
still in a public building.
That's not how it works. Call your lawyer.
You obviously have a problem with me.
I have a problem with you recording private conversations you're not part of. You
I
can
just put my
record this
jacket
one right
on.
now.
I just put
You
everything
can
on.
record me right now.
I am.
Because we're having that.
I am.
Well, that's proof that I'm warning you that you can't record private meetings that you're not part of. You
But
can
we're in a
record
public-
You're in a public place.
Yes.
It's still a crime.
And it is
It's
not.
a felony.
It is not.
Well,
I've
I'm
read
glad-
up on my laws and it is not. I have every right to be here.
You do. You have a right to be here. You have a right to record me. I have no problem with that because it's evidence that you've been warned. If you post private conversations that you're not part of and it wasn't in a public meeting, then you're going to be charged.
I'm in a
Please
public.
abide by the law.
I am.
Please do. No, you're not.
I think you need to read up on the laws. As of last year
appreciate the
and throughout the
schooling.
year, that I've been volunteering my time for the people that cannot be here,
You've
physically
been
and
harassing
timely-wise.
people with your recording. You block, except for me. You try to pick a fight. You call people to pick a fight with people. I know what you're doing. I'm warning you now.
Show me where I did that, please. Because if I did, I will happily not
Well,
do
you
that
got in
anymore.
my face and made a point of it, and I'm telling you now that that was offensive. I played with you then, and I treated you like a child that you are.
When did I get in your face?
You know you did that.
Because you're in my face right now.
No, I'm not.
You
It's
are
a public
about-
meeting.
You're about 10 inches from stomach to stomach right now. You
Well,
are.
that's okay.
So
What's your point?
you are in my face confronting me about something.
I'm confronting
I've
you
left
about
you alone.
committing a felony.
I'm not committing a felony.
If you're recording conversations,
If you
with
would like my email address, please forward me the
I
law
don't need your
that I am
email. I'm
breaking.
telling you, I want you to publish that. Give that to your lawyer, and let your lawyer tell you what the law is. You know?
I've read the law. I've consulted with lawyers. I have every right to be here and to
You
record
have a right
as
to be
that I
here.
wish.
You have a right to record the public meetings. You have a right to record this one. Matter of fact, you got my permission.
Okay, that's
If you
fantastic.
publish conversations with these people,
I am not. I
that
have
you're
no.
not part-
I have no interest
you're
in your
recording.
conversations.
You were. I saw you. And
Yes,
you
I
admit
have,
it,
I have
too.
not
You admit
stopped.
it.
I have not stopped recording since the meeting about 5
You
minutes
can
before the meeting
record me. You
started.
can't record the people
I
who are
am-
not in the conversation.
I am leaving right now.
Good.
For the last year, I have always recorded till I walk out to my vehicle and I leave the property.
If you're
How come
recording
you've never?
conversations,
How come you've never had an issue with me until then? Until I start
I
recording.
do have an
because
issue. I have an issue when you had your friend come over and try to confront a business owner and start a fight with him.
Who's my friend?
You know who I'm talking about.
I don't know who.
Well, clean up your act, keep recording, do what you want to do.
You're
but
confronting me
being-
right now. I
I'm
don't have
telling
any
you.
friends here. I don't have any friends that come up here.
I don't know who your friends are.
Then how do you say that my friend came up and
The one that
was
lives in
harassing
Farmington
someone?
Hills. You brought him over here.
Who lives in Farmington Hills that I know? The only person that I know that lives
This
in
is my
Farmington
last
Hills is my
warning.
grandmother
Don't
who
record
died
people
in
that you're not part of the
2014.
conversation.
I'm not, but I do
Yes,
have every
you
right
are.
to. But
No,
I'm
you do
not.
not.
No, I am not. I am not recording. I am on my way out right now.
You can record
You confronted
me,
me. If
and
you waited
again-
about 30 seconds, I would have been gone. So if
But
you
you
wanted to
weren't
keep this
leaving. You were
conversation
recording
going,
private conversations you weren't part of.
I'm
And
finishing
that's
a
a
conversation.
felony.
No, it is not.
Well,
Go ahead
you
and
get to tell
go
the
ahead and look
judge.
up on the laws for that,
I don't
because
have to
I've
look up
read
on the law.
through
That's
them
what I do.
thoroughly,
I teach
consulted
law
with a
school.
lawyer, and I have every right to be here. I have every
You
right
have
to
every
record.
right to be here. You have every
the
right to
meeting.
record.
The meeting
Me.
ended. The meeting ended.
And that's when your
I
recording
wrapped
of
up.
the conversation
I wrapped up
ends.
my personal conversation on my cell phone. I gathered my belongings, put my jacket on, and I started to walk
You have
out the
been
door.
warned. You've been warned.
That's fantastic. All I have to do is pick up these two things, which have taken less than 30 seconds, and I'm leaving. Have a good
You can
night.
stay as long as you want. I'll let you stay.
Have a
here.
good night.
Just
I am
don't
done with our
record people's
conversation
private
right now.
conversations.
Thank you.
Did you turn those off? Yeah, we're off.
All right, good night. Have a good one. All right, always something.
Always something. I've done this for over a year. I've never had a problem with it. I'm doing the same thing I'm doing right now.
Everybody's nerves are on edge. Feels a little bit, I guess.
For what?
I understand.
I'm recording a meeting for people that cannot be here because they're physically not able
I
to,
understand. No,
or
I understand. That's good.
they can't. I have
That's good.
every
That's good.
right to record
Not
or
disputing
stream, do whatever on public property according to Michigan law. I've consulted with lawyers. If someone has a problem with it, that is the first time
Yes, I
in
think so.
over 14 months
Uh-huh.
that I've
Somebody said
ever been
something.
confronted about it. I've done the same exact thing that I have done every single time. I have everything recorded. If I never gotten in his face. He's talked to me maybe a handful of times. That was it. I was in passing. There was one where I was standing next to the door.
Yep.
He was trying to get through. He said, "Excuse me," to the person in front of me. They moved. I was still standing off to the side, and he bumped into me, which I have on video, and he shoved me into the door frame. And I said, "Excuse me would be nice." And he said, "Excuse me," got to where his nose was touching my ear, and then proceeded to go through the doorway.
Yeah,
So, I mean,
not
that-
right either.
I have no problem with him. I don't have any friends that come up here. I don't even know who the hell he's talking about, because none of my friends have ever come up here. But I'm here to record a meeting and stream it to the people that physically cannot be here or cannot be here due to time. And
Doing a good job.
That's it.
Doing a good service.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. You're the first person, I think, from the city that has ever complimented me and saying thank you for doing
Oh,
that.
no, that is
So
good,
I take that as a huge.
been trying to get them to do it, more professionally.
Yeah,
Let's
and
say
it's-
for summer and put it on the website if they ever get the website activated to be able to do it. Because I
Oh,
know a lot
they
of
do.
cities,
I've
they
done
have
web design for
TV,
years,
They have
but-
cable TV systems.
You know what's really funny? A couple months ago, I looked in to see what neighboring communities had that and
Yeah.
who didn't. And the only one, besides all of the cities on the spinal column,
Uh-huh.
Wixom, White Lake, whoever, all through that list, all of our surrounding communities, they all do it besides
do it.
Commerce,
Yes.
who were down because they were revamping everything online and how they did their
They
meetings.
have the
Walled
funds.
Lake is
They
the
have the funds.
only community
Yeah.
that does not do it.
They've
I
got
noticed
some
that well
fun.
over a year ago, so that's why I decided to volunteer my time to allow the people to be able to do that.
It's getting windy. It's
So-
going to fall over. We need more weight on that.
Oh yeah, but
No, it's a question of funding.
Yep.
But they sometimes, they're nervous to put stuff out there sometimes. And I
But
can
why?
understand that, but
why are they nervous? It's public info. It's a public meeting right here.
They're entitled to see it. I agree.
I'm in a public building on public land in America.
We're trying to do it with the DDA, get them to video that and put it on
Yeah.
the website. And they should do the same thing here. They probably have. We don't have like Commerce and they've got the cable commissions that can do it, and they've got the facilities.
Yeah, exactly. And I was picking up my belongings, packing up my stuff, and he comes up and confronts me. I was wrapping up a conversation on my cell phone through texting,
Yep.
and he comes up and he confronts me about recording conversations illegally, and that's a felony, and that my lawyers are going to get involved. Like, dude, I have no interest in your conversations. I'm just leaving. For the last year and a half, I've always recorded till I leave the premises.
Conversations, hey, the police said, I think at one time, you can't take pictures of it. No, you can.
You can. You absolutely can. You have every right to.
You can.
So, is what it is.
It is what it is sometimes.
Have a good night. Jeez. Have a good night.